my why is all about music. So I'm a composer, a classical composer, and I'm using property as a vehicle basically to create enough passive income.
So we're back here with Rhett. How you doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks.
Good, good. So look, subscribe to this channel because you're going to see Rhett's other projects and how he did them, what he bought them for, and he very willingly shared all of those stats. No, because here's the thing, there is an abundance of opportunities for many people. And in fact, now there's going to be more opportunity than ever before because of Section 24 and people getting taxed on gross rent. They've had to file their tax return, so it's only now they're feeling the pinch. EPC rating is changing, so people are not going to be able to do that. People weren't making any money before anyway, so now everything has gone up. Now they're making no money, or it's costing them money. So it's going to take people like Rhett here and people in the real life community to come along, save the day, save them, and make loads of money on the way. So if that sounds like you, carry on watching this video and subscribe to this channel. So how much you buy this? What was this property when you first bought it? Like, what was it?
So when I first bought it, it was a 3-bed family house, very dated, needed a lot of work.
Yeah, and had they already moved out?
The family, when we bought it, they were just moving out.
Just moving out.
And they were in a chain, so they were moving into another property, but needed the funds to then purchase that property.
Good, good. Okay, so how much you buy it for?
So bought this for $190.
Yeah. And now what have you turned it into?
So now it's a 6-unit block, and we have 4 studios and 2 ensuite rooms.
And it is very sizable. Even this kitchen is bigger than, I think even including that, it's bigger than my first house that I purchased. Yeah, seriously, it was just this. As always, there's challenges. So what happened and what did you have to overcome?
So, believe it or not, when I first bought this house, I was expecting this to be probably a 5-unit block, and we decided after we bought it to then add the dormer. Mm-hmm. So being open was probably the big lesson there in terms of looking at things with the architects, just thinking through things, adding the additional cost. It still stacked up, and it meant that ultimately we've got something that hit a higher GDV than I was expecting.
Yeah, so what is the GDV now? It's 6 units.
So at 6 units, it was 480.
Yeah, 480. Yeah, so what was the additional cost for the dormer? Which I assume the dormer, by the dormer you mean like then allowed you to go into the loft. Yeah, so what was the cost of that, do you know?
So the cost overall was about $15,000 for the dormer, plus a few additional bits like the hallway, the staircase.
Yeah, which added up to about what, 15?
So that added like another 15, so it was about then 175.
$175?
Yeah.
What do you mean 175?
For the cost of the
development. Yeah, so
we went into it expecting that it was going to cost 160, and then we decided to do the dormer,
175.
which was 175.
So 15 then?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 15K.
Yes! Yeah.
So here's what some people might not look at, is like spending more money. Yeah, so if the average cost, the average value at the end is going to be 80 a room, and we can leverage 75%, that means we're going to get 60,000 cash monies out at the end. So if it costs you 15,000 extra, you're still in 45,000 pounds profit.
Right.
Yeah, which is obviously why it made sense to you.
Absolutely. But then I suppose going into dormers meant that I would have to up my game a bit because I'd never done one before. So then that meant that there were lots of learnings and...
But did you have to get your hammer out yourself?
No.
No, where do you actually live?
So I live in Brighton.
And how far away is that from here?
It's like Russia from here. It's 4 hours away.
Obviously, what kind of cash flow is this going to be making? What's the numbers on the rents here?
So it's a very good rent, which is obviously one of the reasons why we got the good GDV. I think overall it's about 4,800.
4,800, so yeah, nearly 60 grand a year, pretty much.
Yeah.
You told me about a passion that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell me about that, because that's one of your main reasons for doing this, right?
Yeah, so ultimately my why is all about music. So I'm a composer, a classical composer, and I'm using property as a vehicle basically to create enough passive income to live from. But also I've realized through property that I can be my own patron. So it's all about just having the skills, the background, and the ability to envisage how can I achieve a particular goal in music using property. If I want to work with an orchestra, how much would it cost? I'll do a flip. If I want to have a second house, how much rental income do I need to enable that? Or could a strategy like service accommodation make that happen?
There's so many avenues and revenue streams, and money can be made, and people create businesses as well from being in this community and all of that stuff. That it's more than just property.
Definitely.
So with all these projects now, you've been doing this for a couple of years. What have you built this empire to so far?
So that's probably the biggest surprise, even to me. I have to say, because we spoke in 2019, and at the time I was thinking, passive income, but I didn't really know what that meant, really. I had a figure in mind. But what's happened since is now a portfolio that's valued at 2.6 million. So I went from having a flat in Brighton to having, the equivalent of 7 properties now. And my personal net worth has gone up by 2.6 million.
Yeah.
In 3 years.
Brilliant. Yeah. So did you use any of your own money to kick off this?
So I started off with some of my own funds and quickly realized that wasn't going to go very far. But luckily, because I had a sales background, I dipped into that and managed to finance the first one with funds from an investor. And one Facebook post resulted in this investor lending me £200,000.
Wow, £200,000 just from literally following the process.
It was a mindset shift where I had to get over this idea of a fear of asking people for money. When I converted that, I understood that I was helping them to a much better return. And so it all became a thing of win-win.
That's why I see real estate as the top of the pile right now.
Well, COVID taught me many things, but one of them was that never listen to what the masses are doing. Because when I was taking the trains up to Derby, there was the conductor, the driver, and me on the train. And I literally had to just suspend disbelief. I barely knew Derby at the time, and was, on my way up here, jumping into this thing where I was signing lots of documents saying I'm signing away my life. But what I realized through that is usually when people are going left, always go right, because that's where the money is. And
the masses. Because if you're with the right people and they're going left, then go left.
Right. It's exactly. Follow the smart people, the people with the money, not the people who, let's say, are afraid because of the media.
Exactly. Good. So obviously property is what got you hooked. You wanted to build this passive income to follow this passion in music, which by the way, I'm really excited to see more of that and hear more of that. But you found more about the financial, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So if you've got a 10-second message that you can give to people who probably want more out of life or they want to do something different, what's that message?
When you step out of your comfort zone, you start realizing how big your potential actually is. And I think, if anything, I'm just starting to scratch the surface of how far I can go. It's one of these things where I just have to get out of my own way. So what real life has really helped me to do is to set a solid foundation to then build and, dare to think bigger, and I'm going into much bigger projects, talking to people about more money, I'm seen as actually being, an expert in property. I mean, the truth is, it's all borrowed from people I've, been learning from, and experience, of course. And actually, the best teachers are the things that have gone wrong. So, it's one of these things where allowing discomfort with things that are, on the face of it, scary, can be the very things that unleash the next level of you. So
good. And the one thing that we never want to let our community or anyone forget is that you've got to do the right thing for the right reason. Now, why is that?
So you can discover your true potential.